Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and I'm back with another mod tutorial for Buildcraft. Today I'm going to cover engines, how they work, what they do, and all the cool stuff that engines give us. You should know that there are three types of engines: redstone, steam, and combustion. And I'll go into each one, how they work, and what they do right now. So let's get started. So the first engine I'm going to show you guys is the redstone engine. It's the most basic and most simple engine in the game. You're going to need a piston for all your engines. You're also going to need some gears. For the redstone engine, it's all pretty much wood-based. So you need wood and gears, as shown here. You need 2 of those. You need your piston, and you need wood. And the recipe is as shown. 1 piece of glass in the middle, and some wood on the top, gives us a redstone engine. Redstone engines are the simplest and slowest engine that exist. You simply place them on the ground, and you activate them with a redstone trigger. You'll also need to connect them to something. In this case, I'm simply going to grab a wooden pipe just to show you how they work. Obviously, this wooden transport pipe sitting on the ground here by itself is not actually going to do anything. You should also note that if you have a wrench in your hand and you right-click, it will reorient the engine to the nearest item that it can find that it can activate on. And right-clicking again doesn't do anything because there are no other items nearby. However, if I had another wooden transport pipe for some reason, say right here, it would alternate between the two. This is true for all engines. To activate the engine, simply apply a redstone signal, and you'll see the engine start to move. Redstone engines generate 1 energy unit every time the piston here hits the end of the pipe. They also slowly build up energy. At the moment, this is at the lowest energy stage, and it's indicated by the fact that the engine is blue. The engine doesn't have a lot of heat or energy built up, and it's moving kind of slow. If we wait a little bit, we'll see what happens when it gets to the next energy stage. Our redstone engine is now green and moving a little bit faster. Remember, it generates 1 unit of energy each time it reaches the end of its cycle. So once it reaches the end, right now, it generated 1 unit of energy. Since it's moving faster, it's generally producing more energy over a set period of time. Next after green is the yellow stage. Yellow is obviously moving quite a bit faster than green, and again is creating 1 energy unit per tick every time it hits the end of this unit. If this wooden pipe were connected to something, it would be pulling out 1 cobblestone or 1 item from the chest each time the redstone engine reached the end of the pipe. So pretty much the faster the redstone engine is going, the more items are pulled out of the pipe every period of time. The last stage of redstone engines is the blinking orange and red stage, as you can see here. You should note that no matter what, as long as this redstone engine is working on something, in this case a wooden pipe, a machine, as long as it's connected to something that it can do work on, it will never explode. I've gotten that question about 1,000 times, so I'm finally answering it for you guys. This contraption will never explode. However, if the redstone engine has nothing to work on, it's now in a steady rate red state. This engine will constantly build up internal power because it has nowhere to go, and will eventually explode. We don't want that to happen, of course, so we need to make sure that the redstone engine has some work to do. If we give this enough time, it'll eventually work its way back down to the red and orange state. You can also, if you want, cause an engine to cool down a little bit quicker by turning off the redstone signal that's keeping it running. By turning it off, it quickly reached the orange stage, and will briefly stay orange, and then eventually go to green, and then eventually back down to blue. But why don't we turn this guy back on now, and let him continue to run. Just to demonstrate for you guys the difference between a blue engine and a flashing orange and red engine, I've connected this simple little system so you can see exactly how fast these engines operate at their different speeds. So let's go ahead and place down this engine here, the redstone engine I have in my inventory, and it'll be at the blue stage. But why don't I get it more light out? There we go, much better. So I'm going to go ahead and place down this cobblestone engine here, and you'll see it's currently at the blue state. So you can see right away how much quicker this engine is running versus this one. And as shown before, if you just let this guy run, he'll eventually work up to this speed. I'm going to place a stack of cobblestone in here, and we can see how much more quickly the red and orange cobblestone is getting pulled out as opposed to the blue state cobblestone. So those are redstone engines. This wraps up the tutorial on redstone engines. Next up, we've got the steam engine. This guy's created pretty similar to the last engine, except we need to turn all our wooden items into stone items. So we're going to need 2 stone gears, which are created as shown. Next up, we're going to need ourselves another piston. So we can go ahead and make one of those real quick. Place the piston on the bottom, the stone gears on either side, a piece of glass in the middle, and cobblestone along the top as opposed to wood. And we've got a steam engine. Steam engines do not run for free in the same way that cobblestone engines do. That redstone engines do. So why don't I go ahead and place down our cobblestone or steam engine, and you'll see that even though there's a redstone signal underneath, he's not running. The reason for that is these guys require coal to operate. You can see there's a slot here to place coal in, and as soon as we do, it starts running. Cobblestone engines produce more energy than redstone engines. However, they will eventually build up a reddened charge and eventually explode. If you run a cobblestone engine or a steam engine continuously, it will eventually explode. It's not recommended to continuously run this guy. You should also note that items getting pulled out of a chest pull out close to an entire stack. Why don't I place an entire stack of items in there, and you'll see exactly how many get pulled out if I turn this off for a moment. A stack of 64, the cobblestone pulled out all but 12. For a total of 52. So cobblestone engines pull out a majority of items a lot quicker than wooden engines. Once again, you need to know that if a cobblestone engine, a steam engine, runs continuously, it will eventually hit the red stage and explode. So do not run them continuously. If you wanted to be smart about it, you could use Red Power 2 and create a timer system, or build your own timer system with redstone. That's definitely the recommended way to use these guys. You should also use them otherwise as a temporary solution. I should also note that the power output of a steam engine is 1 energy unit per tick. And if you're familiar with Minecraft, you know there are 20 ticks in a second. I want to make a correction about the steam engine. It looks like it's not exploding here, so you're going to want to be careful with your steam engines. As I mentioned, there's no way to cool them, and it is possible for them to explode. However, it hasn't exploded in this system, so I was incorrect earlier when I said that these guys will explode if left to their own devices. But definitely keep an eye on them to make sure they don't explode. And the final type of engine to show you guys is the combustion engine. This is the 3rd engine in the game, and it's pretty much the last one that you'll need or see. And to make it, you need some iron gears, which are created as you're seeing now. Here are 2 iron gears. I'm also just going to give myself a piston, because I think you've seen me build those enough. And you simply place your iron gears down, glass in the middle as always, and iron ingots along the top. This is a combustion engine. Combustion engines are the most advanced and most powerful engines in the game. Simply place one down. And of course you're going to need something to orient it towards. And you can orient it using the wrench. This engine will now run and output its energy onto this wooden pipe. And if you watched the tutorial on wooden pipes and conductive pipes, you should know that conductive pipes will transmit energy. And you'll want to use golden conductive pipes wherever possible to send your energy along. So at this point, this combustion engine will be sending energy through these pipes, and you can connect these pipes to a machine to have the combustion engine send its energy to that machine. You can also connect your conductive pipes to redstone and coal engines. If you right-click on the interface for the combustion engine, you'll see there are 2 levels here, and a slot here to input items. Combustion engines can run off three types of liquid. Those three types of liquid are lava, oil, which is found in the world when you're using Buildcraft, and fuel, which is refined oil. And you create fuel by refining it in a refinery. You'll want to see my machines tutorial to see how to make and use a refinery. In order to place your fuel in the combustion engine, you simply need to take a bucket of the fuel and place it in the slot. You'll note that it fills up the left side. And just like the tanks, you cannot have multiple types of fuel in the same combustion engine at the same time. So this combustion engine will currently run off lava. And simply apply a redstone torch, and it starts running. You can also see with the conductive pipe that it has a little graphic to show energy flowing through. The energy really doesn't have anywhere to go, so this is just a tutorial and an example. You guys should also know that this energy and heat here is not built in by default. This is an extra mod that's added in, and I don't know if it's public yet, so you're going to have to wait at some point to get this energy and heat thing. But it's a good demonstration to show you what's happening behind the scenes. The energy in the combustion engine is building up to a point of about 25, and it's then released into the pipe. The heat is also building up in the engine, and the heat is what makes it turn from blue to green to orange to red. You should also note that combustion engines, if left to their own workings, will eventually explode if you do not cool them with water. So let's watch and see what happens. So I've let this run for a good while, and you can see we're still generating about 20 energy per pulse, and we're up to about 6,200 heat. And you can see about the speed that the heat's increasing. We're still at the blue stage, and we're still running off lava. So why don't I replace this with oil and see what happens. So I've now put oil into my combustion engine, and you can see we're getting further along in energy before it releases. So basically it's moving at the same speed, but creating more energy per tick. That's right, the combustion engine, when filled with oil, creates more energy per tick than it would with lava. To be exact, it creates 1 energy unit per tick when using lava, which is exactly the same as the with the steam engine using coal, and it creates 2 energy per tick when using oil. So it's twice as powerful when using oil. You'll also notice that it's also gaining heat a bit faster. So while it also produces more energy, it also gains more heat. Oil also lasts longer than lava. At this point, we probably would have lost a little bit of lava, but our oil is still pretty strong. So oil lasts longer than lava. And finally, I've just placed some fuel in there. You can see we're building up heat a lot faster now, and we're getting up to close to 125 energy units per tick before releasing the energy. So that means we're getting 5 times the amount of energy, or 5 units of energy per tick, every time this guy pulses out. So fuel is a lot more powerful than oil, and it also produces a lot more heat. We've already reached the 3000 stage just while I was talking. Heat builds up a lot quicker in this engine, and fuel also lasts a lot longer than oil. And like I said, in order to create fuel, you have to refine it from oil. And you'll need to watch my tutorial on engines and machines to figure out how to make fuel. So let's let this guy get up to the green stage. While I'm waiting for this guy to get up to the green stage, you can see we're close to 15,000 heat, and we're still at blue. I'm going to go ahead and put a water bucket in here. And you'll see that the water bucket filled up this level on the right. This is your coolant tank. This water level will keep your combustion engine cool and prevent it from exploding. Especially when you're using fuel, you're going to need a steady supply of water to keep this guy from exploding. Combustion engines only require water once they hit the orange stage, and basically as soon as they hit orange, it'll use a little bit of water to cool it down to green, and it'll try and keep itself at green as long as there's water in the tank. So you can see we're still at blue, so we haven't used any of the water yet. Let's wait till we get to the green stage and see what happens. While we're waiting for the green stage, why don't I show you guys that you can connect engines as shown. This combustion engine will assist this combustion engine. And if we look at the energy generation, we can see it's now generating 250 energy before being released. If we take another engine and place it, perhaps like this, and make sure they're both running, And of course, make sure they both have fuel in them. We can see this guy now getting up to a good amount before releasing his energy, 300 and something. So pretty much your optimum point here is to have about 3 engines. You can also see that this guy is now at the green stage. He passed the 25,000 heat mark, and he still hasn't used any water. Like I said, you'll only start using water when you get to the orange stage of combustion engines. So let's wait a few minutes for this guy to build up. So we're approaching the 45,000 heat mark, and you can see we still haven't used a single bit of water out of our coolant. Like I said, when this guy's at the green stage, he does not use any water. I'm guessing it's at the 50,000 heat mark that this guy's going to start using water. Let's see what happens. So we've now hit the 49,000 heat mark, and the water's starting to drain. You can see there's no more heat here, but it's using the water rather quickly. And as soon as the water runs out, it starts building up more heat. Once we get to the 50,000 mark, the engine's going to turn orange. Uh-oh. An orange engine is a bad thing. It means that it's out of water and passing that heat mark. So let's see what happens if we put some water in there. I'm going to go ahead and just get a bucket of water and place it in the machine. You can see it quickly cooled off a little bit, but not all the way. Alright, I've got it cooled off, but look how quickly it's draining the water that I'm putting in there. I'd basically have to stand here all day and continuously put water buckets in order to keep it cool enough. Otherwise, as you can see, it's back down to the green state, but it's going to quickly hit orange again as soon as that water runs out. Yep, the water's gone, and now we're going to hit orange stage again. If we left this engine running, it would eventually hit the red stage. That's a very bad sign because it means it's very close to exploding. At the red stage, you're in trouble. Finally, if it got past the red stage, it would explode, cause a bunch of damage, and would be a bad thing. So why don't I get a golden waterproof pipe here and connect it to this little system that I've designed. It's a tank filled with water, and it's got a wooden system here to get the water out of the tank and into the engine. You can see now that water is flowing into the engine, and it's quickly cooling off the combustion engine. Once the combustion engine reaches the 49,000 mark, it's going to cool off down to the green stage, as shown. And once it hits 49,000 even, it's going to start to fill up the combustion engine's internal coolant capacitor with water. It's also still using this water, keep in mind, so you're going to want to keep this guy running. And if this tank runs out, then we're back again at the problem where we start burning through water and we start to overheat again. So this concludes how to use combustion engines. You definitely want to keep them cool. Take a look at my tutorial on the Buildcraft machines to find a quick and easy way to get a lot of water. It's an item called the pump, and you can basically pump water out of oceans and store them in tanks, or directly put the water into the machine from the pump. So keep an eye out for that tutorial, which will be coming up soon. Well guys, I know you like to see explosions, so why don't I just let this water drain out of this combustion engine, work its way up to the red stage, and let's see what happens, shall we? Uh-oh, we ran out of water and we're starting to build up heat. We're at the orange stage. Oh my, looks like we're getting awfully high up there in heat. We're at the 75,000 mark, and as soon as we pass it, we're going to have a red engine. Uh-oh. Getting awfully hot now, 87,000. Ooh, that's probably going to be pretty bad. Alright guys, I wanted to make sure it was daylight by the time I got this engine to explode. We're at the red stage. Oh man, we're at 95,000 heat. That can't be good. I have a pretty bad feeling that this guy's going to explode pretty soon. That looks like a good vantage point. 97, getting close. I'm guessing it's the 100,000 heat mark. But why don't I back up just in case it's a little less than that. Oh, I hope that sheep doesn't get too close to that combustion engine. That would probably be a problem, wouldn't it? Any second now. Ooh. Yeah, that was a pretty big explosion. I mean, that's not a nuclear reactor type explosion, but hey, that's not something you want happening inside your house, especially if you have a bunch of fuel tanks nearby, some refineries, who knows. So, yeah, exploding combustion engines, bad thing. This is Direwolf20, signing off on the Buildcraft Engines. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and learned a few things. Take it easy.